all my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. All my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Facebook Live. You can see Darren himself killing the dress-up game over here. Before we get and throw it to you, Darren, I got to say something. I'm upset at this whole Punxsutawney Phil saying we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. I don't know if you saw this. The old Punxsutawney saw its shadow and predicting 6 more weeks of winter. I can't do this.
Well, first of all, you got to
tell
the people down
You're
here
out here living it up in
that.
Tampa where it's warm.
Yeah, I was going to say, because down here, it's fine. It's bright and sunny. I actually got, where's it at? Doggone it. I got another pair of sunglasses that matches the suit. I'm about to find it during the commercial break because I like it too. But, I don't know about that doggone groundhog. And be quite honest, I could care less. I just got to interviewing Barry Sanders, so it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, so I was getting ready to say, I saw you interviewing Barry Sanders, so I definitely want to touch on that. A lot of stuff to get into today, some Chiefs news, some updates on Sammy Watkins, some COVID-related scares. But first, Darren got a chance to sit down and talk with the legend, Barry Sanders. How'd that go?
Well, it was interesting. The NFL sent me an email and asked me did I want to interview Barry Sanders. I was like, no, of course I do. What kind of question is that? It's goat on goat. Of course I want to talk to my contemporary, so to speak. No, in all seriousness, no. It was he was promoting Rocket Mortgage and their squares. What they got, the Super Bowl squares, what they got going on during the game Sunday. Whether you get, where you have an opportunity to win $50,000. So something that me, I'm a gambling guy. Since it's free, I'm gonna try it out. And I asked Barry if he would, help a brother get that $50,000. He said the best he could do was just get me registered up at RocketMortgage.com. I was like, well, appreciate the help. That's what you call it. But no, and also, no, I mean, we had a good conversation. Spoke about got his thoughts on the game. He has Kansas City, and I see where the video just went out. He has Kansas City winning this game, and look, and it's a good thing that he has Kansas City winning because we appreciate it very much.
Did he talk about any running backs that he likes in today's NFL? Because that's what I would like to see. Because someone who is as good as Barry Sanders. There's those very few, not even just game.
Shockingly to your discredit, he still believes that there is such a thing called the running game in the NFL, and think that there's a place for it. Because I literally kind of question regarding the game Sunday with you in mind and asked him whether or not he thought that the running backs would have some sort of in the game Sunday, and he believes that they will in some form or fashion, whether it's Roe Jones and he mentioned LaShawn McCoy along with Leonard Fournette for Tampa. But look, he had real high praise for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know some people think that he could be the next Barry Sanders. I'm not going to go that far. Obviously, just a rookie, but he did have high praises for him, as well as just talking about just talking about the impact that he thinks that having Le'Veon Bell on this team will have for the Chiefs as well. So in that regards, he was real high. To answer your question directly, he was real high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I heard about that, and that surprised me a little bit, him being that high on Clyde. But again, you're going to trust at least the judgment of a former generational running back. He was going to do a little bit more. I think we all thought Clyde was going to do a little bit more, and so it's disappointing. But when you break down the actual numbers, you go, well, that's not that bad of a season, especially for a rookie.
I think because when he was first drafted, the expectations were much lower Sterling, because of course at that time we still had Damian Williams on the team, so he wasn't expected to have or carry such a huge load of the offense. We thought he would come in and spell, be a third down back from time to time and come in. With Damian Williams or the spelling when he went to the bench. We never expected Damian to opt out of the season because then by necessity he ended up being the starting running back. So I think with what was expected of Clyde, I think he exceeded those expectations. Even though it may not be to the status of Kareem Hunt for what Kareem Hunt did, because you got to remember, even Kareem Hunt wasn't expected to start. I think Spencer Ward blew out his ACL or something right, during training camp right before the season started. So it kind of thrusted him up, but he just happened to be that guy and end up, blowing, taking the league by storm. So Clyde, to his credit, um, obviously he's had some games where we're like, okay, he doesn't need to take that many carries, but for what he was asked and for what he was able to contribute, I think he did well.
For me, think of Barry Sanders in today's NFL. Think how good he would be if he was getting 6, 7, 8 dump offs a game. I mean, Barry Sanders would break reception records over here.
I asked Barry if he had any regrets, but it was more so along the lines because I only had a certain amount of time, and that was my last question, so I had to like kind of get out after that question. But because I really did want to ask him how he would fare in today's NFL, especially because it's more pass oriented or pass focused versus run. And so, but because I asked him, did he have any regrets from walking away after 10 years? And look, he admitted that we would have loved to have played, obviously, with Patrick or someone of that. But he's also realist, knowing that when he played, the reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl because they were facing dynasty type teams, obviously the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers to an
Yeah.
extent. So the teams that they were going to win the Super Bowl, they just did not have a squad that was good enough to beat them. And then of course, as we talked about the evolution of the game, in his time, it was running the football. I mean, granted, you had Jerry Rice, you had Michael Irvin, you had Sterling Sharp, you had wide receivers, but they were more so outside of Jerry, I would say, they were more so complementary to the running game because in Dallas it was Emmitt Smith and then Michael Irvin. And 49ers, of course, early on it was Roger Craig, but then Jerry Rice when he became Jerry Rice, and it was Jerry Rice and the other way around. But other teams, you had the Hogs. I mean, they were big on running the football. So there were teams back in that time when he played, which really seemed like it was a long time ago, but it really wasn't in a way. Uh, the run game was much more emphasized than it is in today's game.
Yeah, because just looking at it, Barry Sanders would basically be an Alvin Kamara or a Christian McCaffrey, but on steroids, figuratively, not literally. Because, I mean, just think of how good Barry Sanders would be in that offense. It just makes you wonder and dream of the old, what if you just threw this guy from back in the day and threw him in today's NFL or today's sport and see what would happen? Because that'd be one of the few guys, I think, that you'd go, okay, he would actually be better than what he was back then. The one thing I do want to touch on Clyde very quickly is, the one aspect of his game that we thought we'd see more of that we haven't seen a ton of is him in the receiving game. He had, I believe, less than 300 yards receiving this season. We all thought that's where he was actually going to excel. Do you think we'll see more of him receiving than we will running as far as an impact-wise in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say no, only because of the weapons that is already gonna be in the NFL. Obviously, you've got, I mean, you're gonna have Sammy back. You're gonna have Tyreek. You're gonna have Travis Kelsey. I, I don't know. I just don't see unless he's in the backfield and Patrick is under pressure and needs to get the ball out. I don't see Clyde having that much of an impact in the passing game because you've got 4 or 5 receivers to get to him before you even think about Clyde. So I'm going to say no on that one.
Yeah, honestly, it's what separates, I think, this Kansas City offense from a lot of other good offenses in the NFL. When Patrick is under pressure and does his check down, it's a check down for 15 yards.
Right.
When other teams try to do check downs, they're, don't get me wrong, guys like Eckler and Alvin Kamara can be very dangerous in the open field, but they're not breaking these 15 yarders every single time. That's what makes Patrick so special is his checkdowns are literally going to Travis Kelce for first downs. And I think that's what really separates this Chiefs offense from a lot of other teams' offenses. Going to Sammy Watkins, he came out today and he's still saying he's getting better, starting to feel good. He wants to keep working with the trainers, so hopefully he feels 195 or 85% by game time Sunday. Does that worry you at all that even when he's talking like this, those percentages keep getting lower and lower and lower?
I mean, I don't even know what to really say about Sammy Watkins any longer. Look, I like the man. The man is probably willing to pay for minimum wage next year just to stay on this Chiefs team, if it meant getting another Super Bowl ring, which is fine. But I really, he didn't sound all too confident. I guess is what you're saying. I was on a different. I think I was on the Zoom with Eric Bieniemy or someone else. No, I think I was on the one with Patrick Mahomes. I wasn't on the one with Sam. Well, I can't remember. I don't know if it was Sammy or one of the coaches, but I wasn't on that one. And no, I was on Le'Veon Bell. That's what it was. And so hearing what you're saying, and I did get like a little notification about Sammy Watkins. I'm real disappointed uh, if that's what he believes. But he could also be playing coy. Now I will give him that because
Yeah.
I think I do believe that he's going to play in Sunday's game. I don't think Andy Reid will go through the whole charade of having him work out just to have him on the just to have him scratch for Sunday's game. It's too important. I think Sammy, for what he's able to do, because I've actually talked about him, throughout the week, that if Sammy Watkins is on the field and he's more than just a decoy, I think Kansas City runs away with this ball game because I think, as we know, Sammy Watkins and his contribution to the offense is much more when he's on the field than when he's not, which is still surprising to me because of how often he's not on the field, it seems.
Yeah, I know. And now he's starting to talk about how he wants to potentially come back next season. He's
Of
gone back
course.
and forth on this a lot. Ever since he came to Kansas City, it seems like he's gone back and forth on whether he wants the stats or if he wants to win the ring. Well, now he seemingly is saying he wants to win that ring. He keeps talking about that third ring as if he's very confident they're going to win this Sunday. What do you think? Do you think that with Sammy Watkins saying he's putting Super Bowls over personal statistics and over money, what chance do you give Sammy Watkins of actually coming back next season?
You know what? As much as it pains me to say, I give him high marks because again, you know that the cap is going to be right now it's scheduled to be about $23 million less. It's 198 now. They're thinking it could be 175. The only way it stays up is if the owners are willing to push the losses out further down the way, and then maybe they have a record year where they raise the ticket prices and get all that money back. So that is something that could happen. But let's just say, for sake of argument, the salary cap decreases. If it decreases, the Chiefs, because Clark Hunt mentioned it yesterday, the Chiefs and all the other owners, they would have to make drastic decisions right away because the clock starts, I think, March 17th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or 4:01. So, if the owners agree that the salary cap is going to decrease, they are probably right now, at least in the off season, they are Brett Veach and them will start making necessary plans. Okay, if the salary cap decreases, we got to cut these veterans or whatever right away. And that's something that would happen at 4:02 or 4:01 on March 17th. If they decide to keep the salary cap as is, obviously you're looking at a scenario now to where where Sammy Watkins looking at what he cost you last year, what his contributions are, if he's willing to, now if he's willing to, if you use the words that he says that are coming out of his mouth, if he says he'll play for less money, you got to put that to the test, and I would do that if I'm Brett Veach because here's the thing. Now I'm not paying him $7 million. That's I'm not doing that. 3 million, okay, we can talk. But one of the things that he did say last year is that he feels like he's made more than enough money. Most of it off of his first contract or rookie contract, and then of course the first 2 years of his deal with Kansas City, where I think he got like $28 million, and then he restructured or
Yeah.
renegotiated that last year, this past season. So if he's willing to do that, if I'm Brett Veach and he's willing to do that, obviously he's got to find. I don't know if he has to go to Luther Glover or somebody. He's got to find a trainer that can keep him healthy because, you know, the only problem that I have is that he can't stay healthy, and that just drives me crazy right now.
Yeah, he has the Charger syndrome where he's always getting hurt. I feel like the Chargers organization always has dudes getting hurt. I feel like Sammy Watkins is constantly getting hurt. I don't know if he's the same trainer. I don't know if he's just going over to the KC guys and hanging out with the Chargers dudes, but that's what it seems like. There's some fun Super Bowl shade going on right now,
Uh-oh.
almost like a boxing match with JPP. Jason Pierre-Paul seemingly keeps calling out Chiefs offensive linemen, saying, "Oh, I don't remember him, Mike Rimmers," even though he played with Mike Rimmers. What do you make of Jason Pierre-Paul seemingly trying to start stuff when it comes to this Kansas City Chiefs offensive line?
All the ending of it. If I'm the Chiefs, look, just had that same energy on Sunday. First of all you got to do, if I'm Mike Rimmers, you can say, "Hey, I don't remember him either. I just remember that score," and just keep referring back to the scoreboard, 27-24. I mean, that's how you combat that type of trash talk, whatever. As long as if you're able to do some stuff like that, then that's the direction that I would go if I'm Mike Rimmers or anybody else. But I don't. I mean, I don't think too much of it. I mean, obviously they're in Tampa. He's back in Kansas City. It's just to me. I think it's just
Yeah.
good, good nature ribbing. That's all.
Sure, I'm actually with you. I think that'd be more fun if they had almost Patrick and Tom Brady standing up next to each other doing a whole boxing match intro. Talk about getting some excitement. Maybe those two dudes John at a podium.
So I got a question for you. Last night, I'm presuming it was the NFL Network, but they had a they had a side by side interview, it seemed, of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And look, there was a lot of
Yeah.
quote unquote love fest, so to speak. But what were your thoughts on the kind words that that Tom Brady had for Patrick Mahomes? Because I do believe that they were
I
sincere,
mean,
because Tom Brady seems to be that kind of guy.
damn it, but I'm starting to like Tom Brady. I'll
Well, I
tell you
always
what,
liked
it's
him. I
one of
mean,
those things
I
where
dress like the man, so I like him already.
no, I've always had great respect for Tom Brady, but he's one of those guys where he can definitely rub you the wrong way. I think he's generally a pretty good dude. I actually think he's a good dude. When you're always going against the best, you always try to find ways to bring him down or find something that you can find a flaw with. But I do think he was genuine when he was talking about Patrick. And I think that just shows you, one, how good Patrick is, but two, that he garners that respect from the current greatest quarterback or greatest player of all time. Just to me, that speaks volumes about Patrick, his character, and especially where he is going. So for me, I thought that these were just glowing words from Tom Brady.
I do want to mention to our audience that around 4:30 we'll be joined by former Tampa Bay Bucks lineman or defensive lineman Randy Grimes on the show. We'll be joined by him live right now. He's speaking with our friend Steve, and he'll be coming over right after we go to break around 4:27 or something like that, to where we'll get him over here and jump on the
Eastern
line with him.
time.
Yeah, Eastern
Three
time.
three
Yeah,
thirty six.
I'm
Come
sorry.
on,
Hey,
Darren's
look,
over here.
I'm already
He's big wigging us.
I'm already assimilated to the culture down here. Now, the one thing I
Yeah,
won't do is that they are really trying to feed me seafood. I'm like, which part I'm allergic to this stuff is you all not getting, but they are really trying to, have me eat fish and crab and stuff. I'm like, man, no, I can't do it.
you don't like crab?
I
You don't
don't,
like any
I
lobster or
don't
anything
like
like
nothing.
that?
I don't like nothing that comes out the ocean.
Is it like the Will Smith? In what's the movie Hitch? When he eats seafood, you
Yes,
know.
something like that. Well, I had that scenario happen to me like that before, but also, as crazy as it sounds, and my pastor swears he doesn't remember, but I do. I was a kid, and our church went fishing for whatever reason. This was when I was a kid at a Swope Park, and it's nighttime. It's about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And my pastor tells me to open up my hand. I'm thinking, give your boy some money or something, just I'm thinking I did something good. He puts uh, uh, a a foot and a half live catfish in my hand, and the whiskers and everything, and it just flipping all around. Man, I'm talking about I freaked out. I freaked out as a kid because I wasn't ready for it. And man, I mean, I don't even eat fish sticks, man. I can't. I don't do nothing, nothing, man. I was scarred for life after that.
Man, first off, fish sticks are terrible. We'll agree there. And two, catfish, at least when they're living, is gross. I'll give you that. Those barbs, I'm not trying to get stung. I'm not trying to get. No, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
Yeah,
One thing I do want to touch about is the fact that Demarcus Robinson, Daniel Kilgore are now on the COVID-19 reserve list
yeah.
due to the close contact. Based on a barber is what it's looking like. Luckily, I think they've both tested negative so far. Everyone else has tested negative so far. What do you make of this story?
Well, I knew about it. I mean, we both know the barber. The barber is my barber, but um, it's interesting because I was supposed to go to him before I came down to Tampa, but because of time constraints of what I had trying to pack and do all the run around, then of course we had the show Friday. I ended up just going down the street to get my hair cut. So in that regard, it's interesting. I don't know how I don't know how it worked because one thing I know about him is he's always wearing his mask. So for him to have gotten it's I don't know where he could have gotten it except for maybe church or something like that. But it's man, it's a sad scenario. I did text with him today. He is fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
But it's something that he wasn't. Obviously nobody expected. So
Yeah. Both knowing who it is, we're both, I think, shocked by this whole, you know, everything going on with this whole
yeah.
story. You talked about Tom Brady saying some glowing words for Patrick Mahomes, but Rob Gronkowski also had some glowing words for Travis Kelce. Both these two guys in their older age, Tom Brady and Gronkowski, have seemingly opened up to the media a little bit and have been more generous with their love for other players. What do you make of Gronk talking about Travis Kelce in this glorifying light?
Well, Rob knows that he is coming to an end, and just like former players have kind of bequeathed him being the quote unquote goat when it comes to the tight end. I would imagine that if you're Rob, it's kind of hard to deny what you're seeing with Travis Kelsey. Obviously, he's breaking records, amongst himself, with the what 4 or 5 consecutive years now of having 1,000-yard seasons that no tight end has had. I think he was second in the league in receiving. Could have led it, obviously. Could have been the first tight end to lead the NFL in receiving had he played in Week 17. I think he's just one acknowledging his own mortality, but two, I think he really believes it as well.
So one thing that really stands out is not only is Gronkowski saying these extremely nice things about Travis Kelce, the thing that always surprises me though is both are 31 years old. We always act like
Yeah,
Gronkowski is some 37-year-old guy who's played in the NFL for
that is
15
true.
years.
That is
He is
true.
the exact same age as Travis Kelce. And
But
so just for me, just for the sake of argument, I know we got to go to break soon.
yeah,
I think it's no argument that Gronkowski probably had the greatest peak of a tight end ever. I think that's probably fair to say. But what I do want to say is he hasn't had that longevity that Travis Kelce has. Travis Kelce is continuously getting better and better. They're the same age. Gronkowski is basically a blocker only at this point of his career, and Kelce is out here competing with wide receiver ones for the NFL lead in receiving yards. What do you make of this? When it's all said and done, who will have the longer lasting legacy?
hmm. Well, obviously, if he stays healthy, I would have to side with Kelsey just because of who he's playing with. Again, Patrick Mahomes is the deodorant. He's the equalizer. You know, he's the one that you put on the scale that weighs the scale down. Uh, you got to remember, Gronk has played. mm, Well, his season has gone on further than Kelsey because of the number of years. I mean, this is his fourth Super Bowl, and so I think not take it back. I think he played in 2011, I believe, and lost that one. So 2013. So yeah, I think this is his fifth Super Bowl that he's playing, and so his season has gone on longer. Granted, he has, because of his injury history, he's missed a lot of games. He's missed the season, I believe. So, and of course he retired. You point out the fact that they're the same age. I really had to like remember that. Yeah, they are the same age, in that he retired and came back. So, um, I think number wise, stat wise, I think Kelsey can get him. Obviously, you do want to continue winning. I think Rob has two Super Bowl rings. I think Kelsey could obviously tie him here. I still think, and again, we're talking about it's, man. I almost feel old because I'm thinking about '90s and 2000s or whatever. Because I'm thinking about Tony Gonzalez, and then of course you're talking about Antonio
Yeah.
Gates and Shannon Sharp and a few of these other tight ends that have come along before them. Shannon Sharp being really the only one that is accomplished, by winning Super Bowls. So look, I think I think that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I think Kelsey will end up having the better career between those two. What say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think when it's all said and done, Kelsey will have that. I think he'll have the longevity as well.
Yeah.
I think when you look back at his, what is it, 4 to 5 year dominance of 1,000+ yards receiving, I think people will go, was he a wide receiver playing tight end? No, he was also a stud blocker. I think once people look back and see his growth as a blocker, I think he'll get more respect. Because I see this all the time still. I see all the time people saying, oh, Gronkowski was a better blocker. Sure. No. There's no debate that Gronkowski was probably the best blocker at tight end in this current generation. But you don't draft a tight end to be a blocker. You draft a tight end at this particular position to be a playmaker, and Travis Kelsey is the best playmaker at tight end. So that's what I think.
Well, you do now because you remember the game has evolved,
Oh,
and
sure, it
so
changed. It's evolved.
um, because there are a lot of tight ends they can't do what both these players that we're talking about are able to do. I wanted to say when you were discussing that, um, when it comes to Rob Gronkowski, that one of the differences between he and Kelsey was because he kind of came in. I don't want to say he came in dominating, but when he came in also with Aaron Hernandez and the offense that the Patriots were running. It dealt with those two tight ends because one, they were so much bigger. I think Rob is like 6'3", 6'4", maybe 6'5", because he's so much bigger. And at the time, obviously, when he was younger, before all the injuries hit, he was much faster. And so, go ahead.
6'6".
Yeah. So so him being 6'6", and he towers over linebackers. It's hard as a defensive back to guard him. So when you're someone of that size and that ginormity, it's hard not to be successful, especially when you got Tom Brady throwing you the football with his accuracy and, of course, being younger, velocity, and stuff like that. So that would be a good reason as to why he's considered maybe right now much better than Kelsey. But again, in the long term, the long run, if he stays healthy, let's just say if Travis can do what he's doing now over the next four, just something close to the next 4 years, and he doesn't have to do like 14, 1,500 yards like he may have done this year, but even if he just do 1,000-yard seasons, because Tyreek's going to get yards, and just the offense will continue to grow as long as everybody's healthy and stays together. I could see a scenario where the talk of who the GOAT is becomes Kelsey versus Rob, because hopefully by that time the Chiefs will venture off to a few more Super Bowls as well.
Well, I know we got to take a break. I know we have a special guest coming up after the break. Does that work for you, Darren? Are we on time with that?
We can go a couple more minutes. He's still talking with Steve, so we can go a couple more minutes if need be, or we can go to break, whichever one.
All right, we'll go a couple more minutes. I'm trying to make this right for you. I'm trying. Look at me. I'm rolling out the red carpet for you. You got your jacket on. You're down in Tampa Bay living it up. It's Darren's world, and we're just living it, huh?
Hey, man. Well, look, first of all, as usual, I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, including Todd's Clothing and Taylor Suits. He's texting me throughout the show, like, I got to get your game day suit down to you. I may have to send it with Dayton Hughes. And like, I know he was blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, if you got to send it down through him, I'll get it from him. But shout out to Todd's Clothing and Taylor Suits. Obviously, Sports Radio 810, Cherry Sports Gear, Gates Barbecue, and Shareways Foundation. So obviously, Radio Row and this trip wouldn't have been made possible without their assistance, and so want to thank them for that. And I know Bill will be happy because I did get a specific question into Barry Sanders that I think he's going to like. So.
What was the question? Or do we have to? Is this a little teaser
Oh,
you're giving us right now? Is this just
no? It was a question that he wanted me to ask for his foundation. Basically, for the athletes, what does having access to sports as a kid mean to them? And Barry went, he went into uh, deep discussion about it in the small time frame that we had. So, look, I can't lie. I started the interview off giving Todd Lebo a shout out, knowing that he would be upset because he's an Oklahoma Sooner, and Barry Sanders went to Oklahoma State, so I had to point that out to him. So it was
just a little ribbon for Lebo.
Got to, because now I think
give
about
him a little ribbon.
Yeah, now I think about it, Lebo's supposed to join us on the show today, so now I got to give him hell.
He was supposed to be on today
for setting us up. So I'm gonna get on him. He'll join us tomorrow.
Yeah. Lebo over here just big wigging us.
hey, hold on. Trust me, that's fine because I had Barry saying that's something that we'll do too. We'll cut. I'll figure out a way to cut the audio, and we'll run that tomorrow because again, it was a real good discussion. So anybody didn't get a chance to hear it or go to the Facebook pages to see it, we played the interview tomorrow because it was real good. It was real good. It was about 10, 12 minutes long, so we'll be able to play it tomorrow.
Perfect. Well, we do got to take a break. We do have some bills to pay, in the words of Darren Smith. So keep it right here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. This is Darren and Sterling.
Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd?
In these trying times, Kansas City free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by
a strategic digital marketing strategy. With the implementation of social media, SEO, and online advertising, these programs are proven to improve your website traffic. Let us collaborate with you to structure a plan and cut through the digital noise. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
Boulevard believes in easy indulgence. That's why they decided to put Tank 7 in cans. Their distinctly American twist on a classic Belgian-style farmhouse ale takes its name from the notoriously unpredictable fermenter where the signature beer's perfect combination of ingredients first came to life. You could call it fate. Their brewers call it Tank 7. Grab a 4-pack and treat yourself to a Tank 7 today. You deserve it. Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We are back here on Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. Darren Smith on Radio Row along with my guy, Mr. Sterling Holmes. With us right now, former NFL center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's back on Radio Row for his 12th year. I think you've been with me for four of those 12 years, starting down in Houston and then up here, actually Houston, Atlanta, Miami, and now Tampa. So with us, my good friend, Mr. Randy Grimes. And Randy, talk about your time with the Tampa Bay Bucks and your thoughts on this weekend's game. Did you ever think you would live in a time where the Bucks are playing a home game in their stadium, a Super Bowl in their home stadium?
No, I didn't. I don't think any player ever thought that a home team in their home stadium in the Super Bowl would ever happen. So that's exciting in itself. But I'm excited for the fans. You know, thinking back from when I got here in 1983, you know, the team just started in '76. And going back to the creamsicle days of Buccaneer Bruce and all that. But, you know, my time here, 83 to 92, the fans were so loyal. And, you know, they came out for every game. And we're talking about a lot of 2-14 seasons and 6-10 seasons and really tough times here in Tampa. But the fans are always loyal. They always showed up. They were always present. You know, they sold that stadium, the old sombrero. They sold that thing out, and you know, I'm excited for them and the electricity in this town right now, and the magic behind this team and what they've been able to do, especially the last 3 weeks on the road. Just exciting time to be in Tampa.
So I'm curious, and Sterling, let me know if you have a question. When you look at this game, obviously Kansas City beat them 27-24 back in November. I'm not sure if you were at that game or not, but just wanted to get your thoughts on how you see this matchup unfolding, and do you see the results being any different?
Well, of course I do, and the results will be a Tampa Bay win. You know what? I think the Buccaneers have tightened up their passing game. I think their offensive line has come a lot. It's a young offensive line, and I think they've really gelled. I really look for the game to be won and lost in the trenches. And our defense has to show up. I know you guys have a great offensive line at Kansas City, and I really think that's going to be the difference. But, you know, when they first signed Brady, I wondered how much gas he still had in the tank. I worried about that. Obviously, he proved me wrong. He's got plenty of gas left in the tank. But the air of confidence that he brings that huddle to those young offensive linemen and those young Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, you know, that's worth every penny that they pay for him. To be able to come back to the huddle and see a quarterback with so much confidence and just that air about him that, hey, everything's going to be okay. We got this. And I think that's huge. And I think everything and all the work that he did back during when he first got here, back when NFL teams couldn't even get together and they were meeting over at a high school, you know, the passing game is tightening up and everything is coming. All the fruits of that labor is starting to show now because the last 3 weeks have been awesome.
Sterling, go ahead.
Hey, Randy, Sterling Holmes here. Quick question for you. So the Chiefs' offensive line has a bunch of guys, I wouldn't say very highly touted, you know, some 7th rounders, some 6th rounders, some guys that were cut from other teams, yet they thrive in pass protection. How much of that comes from just their natural talent and the ability of the Chiefs to find this talent in the draft, and how much comes down to coaching?
Oh, I think all three of those have something to do with it. And, you know, blocking for Mahomes, it's kind of like, you know, I think of him as a young Steve Young. Back when Steve Young came through here, we could never pass block for that guy because we never knew where he was, because he was never in the pocket where he was supposed to be. He was always outside the tackles trying to make something big happen, which is, it says a lot about him. But I see Mahomes doing the same thing, and he's always trying to make something happen. It's a great asset for you guys and for him to have. And I think a young offensive line, once you figure out how he's going to be, how you need to protect for him, then it's a double threat. It's a double threat to have a good offensive and a quarterback making things happen. So, I'm excited about the game, excited about watching it. I think it's going to be won in the trenches. I think it's going to be between the offense and defensive lines on both sides of how this game comes out. And, I just hope everybody stays healthy, and it's a great game.
And to your point, one of the things that Sterling and I talked about this week is that for Patrick, his game is not really relying on the offensive line. I know both tackles are out, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, but as you mentioned, he's always making something happen with his legs, running to and from,
right.
Left and right or whatever, and then that breaks the defense down, and then somebody ends up inevitably being open. Do you see that happen again this Sunday? Because obviously, we say that you have to get pressure on Patrick. You have to get pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, with Brady, is much more important to get pressure on him because he can get the ball out quickly. With Patrick, even if you put pressure on him, if you try to blitz him, he's got a 97 QBR rating against the blitz, and he's, and when you blitz him, I think he's got like 15 touchdowns, 0 interceptions right now. So, I mean,
you're taking a real chance if you do blitz him, right? Well, and I think it's different for the offensive line for the Buccaneers. I mean, all they need to do is keep a nice little pocket there. Brady doesn't need a lot of room to step up, but at least they know exactly where he's going to be, and that's 7 steps straight back. So the offensive line is pretty defined, the job they need to do for the Buccaneers. Now for Mahomes, it's different, like you said, because he's going to be making something happen, and I give him all the credit. That's his game. It's almost like a sandlot game, and if everybody is on the same page and then know that that's what he's going to do, then the receivers know that if they're covered, they can alter their route somehow, and that's what Mahomes thrives on. Is that unscripted play that he made happen, and that's what's gotten Kansas City through these last 2 years, and it's a real asset. It's a game changer.
Now, Star, I know you've been on us about Randy, but of course, he has spent many years battling an addiction to painkillers, and that he developed while trying to treat career-related injuries. And he now uses his inspiring story of recovery to help victims of drugs and alcohol abuse. So, to that point, what have some of the challenges been of recovery during these times of COVID?
Oh my gosh, we were already in a substance abuse pandemic before this pandemic started. That was one of the biggest problems in our country, and now we have a pandemic within a pandemic, and it's forced people to isolate, the exact opposite of what you want them to do, especially if they're seeking recovery. And it's been a very challenging time, but I want people to realize that there is help and hope and resources out there. I've had to go virtual with my recovery. I'm still consistent with my meetings. I'm still consistent with my sponsor. I'm still consistent with my sponsee. I try to stay accountable every day, and that's how I keep my recovery going in the right direction. And the message that I'm trying to send by coming to this is, like I said, my 12th consecutive year of Pro Athletes in Recovery being at this, is because of the work we do with the Player Care Foundation, at the NFL, for other former athletes. Because when I came into treatment back in 2009, there was nothing out there for former players, for retired players. And I knew that there were 17,000 plus former players out there, many of who that were self-medicating and had the same issues I had. And for whatever reason, they did pride, ego, guilt, and shame, or they didn't know that there was any resources available for them. They weren't putting up their hand and asking for help. So I got the word out there that there was help and hope. There are resources. Over the last 10 years, we've been able to help hundreds and hundreds of former NFL guys. We were so successful, Major League Baseball got involved. We started helping former baseball players, hockey players, NBA guys, excuse me, and pretty much everybody from every sport, former players, because we all had the same issue when we didn't have that uniform to put on anymore, or that locker room to sit in. We were struggling.
Randy Grimes joining us on Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. We are live on Radio Row in Tampa at the Tampa Convention Center for Super Bowl 55, featuring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. Sterling, you got a question?
Yeah. So, Randy, when it comes to this Buccaneers offensive line, I'm sure you've had a lot better chance, since I'm sure you watch every single game, and being a former center for them, you have a lot better insight than we do. Who is one guy you should say that we should look out for?
Oh,
Who's one player in that O-line that really stands out?
Oh, you know it. You know it's a center. You know it's Ryan. Yeah, that guy's mean. He's nasty. He's downfield. He's always looking to take somebody out, to clean somebody's clock, and you better be watching out for that guy. That long red hair. You know, he looks like a pirate. You know, he's perfect for the Buccaneers. But I love the young tackle. He's done a great job out there on the right side. Smith has done a great job on the left side, especially the last few games. And I really see this whole offensive line gelling and coming together. And that's what you got to have. You got to have that unity and collaboration and continuity.
Randy, before we get you out of here, before we have to go to break, look, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I know where your heart lies.
Right.
Unfortunately, I kind of know where your head lies as well.
Right.
So we're going to put you to you tell me how this game is going to unfold Sunday, and why Tampa Bay is going to win this game. And because I know I ain't going to ask you who's going to win, because I know you're going to go Tampa Bay, but help me help the audience out as to how that is going to unfold.
Well, the audience is not going to like what I'm going to say.
Well,
Let's start that off. I think it's going to be one in the trenches. I think you got the Brady factor, although you guys have the Mahomes factor. So, but it's going to be one in the trenches. I think our defense has to show up. I think our young offensive line has to keep playing as well as they have the last 5-6 weeks. I've been saying it all day, and everybody kind of looks at me funny, but I got the Bucs by 10.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let me cuss on the air. You hold on.
But hey,
you
let me say
for the
this:
first time this year, Patrick has lost a game by 8 points, right? So he's never lost by double digits.
I know, but this is the biggest game in the world. It's in our home stadium. You've got some people not going to play. Is that what I hear? What's the word on all that?
Linemen. I mean, but Patrick's not reliable.
Linemen. Did you just kind of dismiss it that they were just linemen? Aren't they two tackles?
Hold on. What did I say earlier? That Mahomes is not dependent on that because he does too much with his legs.
Okay. Well, listen. Hey, you know what? I'm just praying for a healthy, safe game. That's a high-scoring game. That's enjoyable to everybody, and I'm happy for the fans of Tampa Bay that they get to go through this. I didn't make anybody mad at me.
Nah.
Okay, good.
Sterling.
I love KC.
That is true. I mean, you see the Gates barbecue in front of you.
Hey, and Mahomes is from my hometown.
Tyler, Texas?
Well, yeah, White House. I'm from Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Tyler, Texas. That's right. Tyler Rose. Me and Earl Campbell.
Okay.
He was a Tyler Rose. I was a Tyler Thorne.
Okay. Sterling, look, we were joined by Randy Grimes. We're going to take a quick time out. Randy really appreciate it. And if you would, one more time, let people know where they can go to.
Yes. You can find me at proathletesinrecovery.org or randygrimespeaks.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter at SoberCenter60. You can find me at White Sands Treatment Center here in Tampa, Florida.
All right, let's take a quick time out. We'll be back after this break.
Oh, shit.
Comfortable room to escape your family? With no ductwork required, Mitsubishi Electric offers room-by-room air filtration and precise temperature control. Let's help turn those cold, uncomfortable spaces in your house into a space you and your family will really enjoy. To learn more about Mitsubishi Electric's solutions, visit keepkccool.com today. Now, they can help you whether you need to heat it up or cool it down. Mitsubishi's got you covered. Our biggest problem here in the Sports Radio 18 control room and studio was the heat. We've got a lot of windows and a lot of radio equipment, and our Mitsubishi unit has kept us cool for years. It works like a charm, and it works quickly, and it's whisper quiet. It's been a real game changer for us at Sports Radio 810. Check them out at keepkccool.com. That's keepkccool.com today.
Honey, what should we do for dinner tonight?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I want to support somewhere local.
Have you heard?
Heard what?
Red Door Wood Fired Grill has $5 classic burgers on Monday, and my buddy from work told me on Thursday they have the best jalapeno marinated fried chicken in all of Kansas City.
Get in.
Whether it be a juicy burger or chicken fried to perfection, there's something for everyone at Kansas City's favorite little upscale neighborhood joint, Red Door Wood Fired Grill. What are you waiting for, KC? Get in here.
Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous KC Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport style, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention 810 Sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Time to run it back, Kansas City. Shop the largest selection of Chiefs, AFC champion, and Super Bowl gear at Rally House. New postseason styles arriving daily.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State. Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Selection varies by location. Limited quantities while supplies last.
Everything that we do should be between me and you.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City. What you saying, Darren?
So you're going to get us thrown out there playing all this hip-hop music.
What's wrong with this?
No. The music is fine, but I'm thinking about Facebook and YouTube and, everybody, because I get an email every morning from YouTube talking about, your video is blocked in certain countries, and it's always grinding on my life. I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna keep playing it anyway. So,
well, that's on YouTube. I blame them.
I do too.
I blame them. Hey, ours is legal over here because we pay for it, so that's not on us. We have to pay for it, so we're legal over here, Darren. We're good.
Oh,
we're golden.
I thought we bootlegged it
but
like
no,
I did my movies, but okay.
well, okay, granted on my life, yeah. Now, I'll get.
It's all good.
The jaw rule is good though. That's legit. No, big shout out to Randy Grimes coming on. That was a lot of fun. The former center for the Buccaneers. I think that was a good insight. I disagree. I'm with you on this when it comes to won or lost in the trenches. Well, that first of all, but I think the trenches, because while I do probably think that the Buccaneers offensive line maybe is a little bit better, especially with all the injuries to the Chiefs offensive line, Patrick Mahomes and his offense is almost offensive line proof to an extent. He scrambles too much. He's too good at making plays happen with whoever's blocking for him. So I'm with you there, actually. I think that it's not going to be won as much in the trenches as it will be, can Patrick live up to what he's done all season? As long as Patrick has a average game, I think Kansas City wins.
Well, I'm not going to say average, but I will say if Patrick Mahomes has a normal Patrick Mahomes day, then Kansas City wins the game. But I think
that's my point. An average Patrick game. Yeah. An average Patrick game.
I would put it like this. I don't think, and this is just my opinion on that. I believe that based off of what we saw last year, that there's something inside of Patrick Mahomes. Now he might not admit it. He might not say it until maybe after the game if somebody gets a chance to ask him. But I think that his performance in last year's game, just him being the competitor that he is, like if I'm Patrick, I don't want to hear Skip Bayless talking about I threw a punt to Tyreek Hill, on 3rd and 14 or 15 or whatever, or that Damian Williams should have been the MVP. If I'm Patrick Mahomes, just being a competitor that he is, knowing the stage and the storylines, I want I personally want to have a big game. Granted, I want the team to win at all costs. So if it means running the ball 20, 45 yards on the ground, cool. That's what we do. But at the end of the day, I think Patrick wants to have a 5-6 touchdown day to remove all doubt and to reintroduce himself. You get a second time around introducing himself to the world. Where last year he brought the team back, but he had the two interceptions in the second half of the game versus just coming out this year. This time around, you beat Tom Brady in his residential home in the Super Bowl, man, and if you can get 5-6 touchdowns against that defense, I mean, really, what are they going to be able to say? What can they say? And shout out to Bill Brandmeyer.
Yeah,
We do see that you're watching us, and like I said, when you get that video of Barry Sanders, Bill, you'll be very happy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm with you there with Patrick wanting to put all doubt aside and say, you know what, because this is probably his last chance to face Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. If we're being completely just honest, unbiased, this is probably their last chance. I mean, Tom Brady said he wants to play until he's 45. No, I'm just saying, if Tom Brady says he wants to play like 45 or 50, if anyone could, it's probably him. But we didn't even think Tampa Bay was good, besides you. We didn't think Tampa Bay was even going to be that good this year. So for me, this is maybe Mahomes' only chance to take down Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
But here's the flip side. If they bring everybody back, it's kind of like Kansas City. What makes you think that they can't return now that they got a year of experience and to the spotlight? Even if they lose, they can come back and be able to duplicate the same thing and face the Chiefs in the Super Bowl in LA next year.
I just think that secondary, I think that they just have too many more things that need to go right for Tampa Bay compared to things that have to go wrong for Kansas City.
You plug in.
I'm just saying that's my take. I think too many things have to go right for Tampa Bay compared to too many things that have to go wrong for the Chiefs not to make it. But we'll talk about all this. Yeah, for tomorrow. Let's talk about this all and more tomorrow. This is Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. Until tomorrow.